Hello again, I'm Annie Painter with Annie's Art Institute, and today I have one of my very favorite lessons that I've done forever. In fact, I learned how to do this lesson from my college art teacher. I hope you love it. And I'm joined today by my friends, a family art team I'd like to introduce them to. This is Ross and Kelly, Rory, Sam, and Millie. And I've worked with them many times. We've done lots of art projects together, but Ross is a new student. I know you're going to love it. So this is what this family did with another family who visited me. This must be, what, 12 feet long? We had two 6-foot tables. And all we used was a stick and a piece of cloth wrapped around it and dipped in paint, a branch pen. There are two parts to our lesson today. The first part is going to be how to make those branch pens and how to use them for any project. If you like drawing, you can draw with a branch pen. It's not just about drawing a creek. You can draw anything. Just have to work big, right? You have to work big because it's a stick. Well, from an art teacher standpoint, I want to mention, as I look at it now, I put an arrow on all the elements in art and all the principles of art that you actually used here. And I have to say that we used value, which would be light to dark. You can see that in your colors, right? We used shape and line because I actually said you're going to do this so that line equals shape, just like your own unique coloring book. You're not going to color in with the black paint. You're going to just make line equals shape. Let's see what else. Color. Remember, we voted on what color families you wanted here so that it had unity and balance. So I just love this because it teaches so much. And obviously, contrast, because we couldn't have had everything the same color or we couldn't have noticed our rocks and water. And finally, repetition. Remember the rocks, and I had small, medium, large? I can see that. So you did a fantastic job using the design elements, and I didn't even have to bother you with even mentioning it, did I? No. And now we'll show everybody how we did that. We'll start in the beginning, going out to explore the creek. So we've just come back in from visiting the creek, and we know that we're going to need to make things that are line equals shape. So, of course, we could put a ton of different materials on the ends of these. For today's lesson, let's do things that will make good drawing tools. So I put out here some old rags and some felt. And what I'll do is I'll make one for you first. What you want to make sure to do is to make sure that it's tight enough that actually it's not floppy. So when it has paint on it, it's not going to spritz around and you can really draw with it. So these would be good ones that are already done. And I will demo first, and then I'll just pass these out and you can give it a shot. Make your own tool. Here's a stick. Any kind of stick, and cut off anything that might be sharp for the kids. And there's no really right way except to make sure that there's some padding on the end. So if you can help each other to do that, that would be helpful. So I usually just turn it over a little bit so there's some padding there, and then I wind. And this will make a good tool for drawing, plus what Rory said, when we roll them and we kind of stamp with them, they make a very interesting pattern. And then we hold it tightly, and maybe your sister or brother could hold it while we take a rubber band or two. Let's just do it with two so that we've got it very nice, and we make it very tight, like that. Ready to make them? Okay, your turn. Let's just put these out here, and you can pick one that speaks to you.
Double one? Yeah, I think a double one.
I'm just using tempera paint, so I have to dilute it a little bit. I'm using Crayola, but whatever black paint you have is fine, as long as it's non-toxic, safe for kids, and water-based. So I'm going to put, this will be something we're all going to use, just one bucket. So this is kind of handy. I'm going to put like 1/4 of a cup, but I'm also going to thin it out just a little bit, so it's more like India ink, you know, like ink when we use it, a real nice drawing consistency. And then our technique is going to be this, that we stir it. Can you hear it? It's sort of slurpy looking. And it might be just a little too thick for my purposes for you. Let me add a little more. Now I'm going to test it out right over here. You're going to dip and swirl to get the extra off. I'm going to start by making a border for you. Oh, it's great. Look at this. Look at this. It's just drawing amazingly well. You don't need to dip very many times. Look how it changes value and looks like a piece of charcoal. Okay, what I want you to do is line up as you have here with your dry branch pens, and you're going to go on the art path, prime it, blot it, and bring it back to me, and I'll be over here with the ink or the paint for you to use, okay? Go ahead. Yes. Okay, remember, dip, swirl, and see what the paint can do. Dip, swirl, and see what the paint can do. One at a time, I think. One at a time. Yeah, just use one or the other. Good. Rory, what are you thinking about with this double tool? What could you do with it?
Well, with this double tool, I was thinking earlier that I could possibly make a log by, instead of having to use the single one, making 2 lines, I could make 2 evenly parallel lines with the 2-sided stick, make them perfectly like that, and then if I wanted to make little lines in the middle, I could do that, and then make 1 even line on the other side.
Yeah, I noticed I like what you're saying here. You can either do double lines or you could turn it on the edge and use it as a single drawing tool. And let's stay on this side of the border. Thank you, Kelly. Remember the shapes that you're going to need. Look at her. She's making things that look like dirt and maybe rocks. Remember, line equals shape. We're trying to make things that will be helpful on our creek drawing. See what the paint can do. I'd also like you to see how far will it go without dipping it again. See how much of the paint it will hold. You have done a great job. All right, I want you to put these back in here for just a second. Everybody, put these back in there for a minute. Okay. All right, if you could point without touching the black paint to something that would be a good way to make a rock. Everybody, just find something that would make a great rock. Exactly. And let's say, Kelly, what else are we going to need to have in our creek?
I think like the dirt or the sand, the kind of texture, that would be that kind of printing.
Yep. And Sam, what marks would make something else in our creek?
The double-sided stick could make a log in our creek.
Great. Do you have an idea that suggested the creek here?
Well, swirls on a single stick can make good motion for the creek.
Yes, when we start making those water ripples, that would be fantastic. Ross, what else?
Just the tendency of water. I kind of like how this turned out right through here. Nice little swirl, and it gives it movement.
Yes, it sure does. Millie, what do you think we could use for the creek here?
Sam's little thing could make the big bubbles, and a smaller thing could make the little bubbles.
Absolutely. We haven't even started our creek drawing yet. We've just practiced how to use the pen, and now you have the shapes that I had prepared for you. I have this wonderful Costco salad bowl that works just fine for my pastels, and these are just oil pastels from school supply store of some sort. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you 2 ways that I actually color in these, which are not professional, but they're just good ways to work. I want Rory to also show how he blends. So he's going to be doing that, and we'll film as we all practice how we would fill in. Let's see how we would fill in our rocks first. Let me first do that. I'm going to do what I call cross-hatching, and we'll see how that works with just warm colors. I'm going to take some pink, some orange, and some red, and some yellow. And you can see if you can see over here on the green rocks that I did, on that one, they are many different green lines, and this is how I did that. Actually, I'll use greens. That would be better to show you. And a little yellow. And what I did for that was just to make, and give it some muscle, because this is brown paper, so you have to be pushing it kind of hard to make sure it shows. And then I'll come back in with another green and go diagonally. And then I might come back in with some yellow to give it a nice yellow-green look.
I want to add green.
Want some green? Let's stop for a minute and admire everybody's work. We have a great gradation there with your blending from white to medium blue to dark. And this is lovely. It almost gives it some form, doesn't it? Looks like it's popping up. And this is a blended crosshatch. And look at Millie's crosshatch with white. And you have amazing, something we could use for raw water there. Very nice. Yeah, very nice. Is everybody ready to try a creek?
Yes.
Yes, I'll bet we're ready. Let's stop now. I'll need your help to take this off, and we'll put another piece down. All right, here we are ready to do our creek. And I'm going to do the border first, and I'm going to turn it over to Kelly to lead the creation of the water line with Millie. So let me get a border done for you. This way you're not going to be rubbing into things. You're going to keep your paint inside the border. Okay. Now remember, up here was where the pump was, and the water was powerfully rippling down to a pool area. So Kelly and Millie are going to get, first of all, a swirl, a dip and a swirl, and I'm going to see how far you can paint with just one dip, okay? So what I'm going to do is have Millie draw what she remembers with her finger, and you can just follow with the paints. Not too fast, Mom has to follow you. Line. Nice job. Agree, everybody? All right. I want each of you to make 3 rocks. One big one, one medium one, and one small one. And let's have them touch the water line. So I'm going to do a big one. I'm going to do my medium one here and a small one here. That way, when we do our coloring, they're unified. They're a nice chunk, okay? Why don't you come around here, a couple of you. And I'll just take this away so no one's tempted to dip. And let's have a few that are inside here too, right? Remember there's some ones in here? We can go ahead and make 2 or 3 more that touch. So we have some inside our creek too. Good. All right, now what else did we see that we need to make? We need to leave room for some things. Glass frog. All right, is that your job?
Anyone can do it if they want.
Do you want Sam to do it? Would you like him to do it? On your rock? Okay, trade places. All right, that's your job. And let's see, what else do we need? Were we going to do some dirt? Dirt?
Oh, yes.
Let's do some dirt stamping. and rolling. Is your ink holding out? Your paint holding up? Oh, yes. Yeah, good. These are nice shapes that you can then color in. Rory, while you're down there, how about adding just the idea of one of those big water hyacinths that stay on this side of the table so that we can see it? One of those plants. Nice. All right. I'm going to start mine and ripple it from the pump, and it hits a rock and goes around it and it ripples. Now remember, we're doing line equal shapes, so we're not going to end it there because we need to have a place we can color in. It's just like a coloring book, only it's our very own, and it goes to the end. So why don't we do a couple more of those? Maybe Kelly and Sam, you do one? This is going to be beautiful. Yeah, don't you think we've done enough? All right. Your job now is to watch me while I show you how to clean up. And we'll take this outside in the sunshine and then we'll color it. Okay. And we'll be done. All right, the first thing we need to do, family, is to vote on what color family we want for the unifying line. And that's really important in doing a piece of art, isn't it? Especially with a group. Because if you did your own little thing and then you look at the whole piece and it's too busy, that would not be good. So, you did a unifying line here on this one. You did with the other family. That unifying line you chose over here on the color wheel, the blues, violets, and magenta plus white. Now you can choose that again, or you could choose the greens and blues and yellow. I mean, the greens. You could choose the oranges and reds with magenta and white. So let's have a vote. We're looking at the unifying water line. There's no reason why water has to be blue, right? But I want you to vote. How many would like to have the water be the greens? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well,
That's the only time we're unanimous, apparently.
that's easy. All right. So I'm going to have you start with the unifying line because, a couple of reasons. That way you're doing the part that's farthest away from you and you won't get too dirty as you work toward yourself. Then we can see how that looks and decide what colors we want for rocks, okay? All right. So what I'm going to do is to make, you said greens, right? It has to appear to be one kind of a green. Yellow green, blue green, medium green with white. And let me do another plate full of these. You can go ahead and start.
Where's our line?
Millie, when we look up at the whole picture, we want it to seem like one big creek that it doesn't have different parts to it. It is beautiful. How about up here too, all the way? I love that color. Very good. Wow, look at this. Now think with me about the rocks closest to you. So these would be Millie's group. This is Annie's group. These three are for Ross. Ross, you have your Ross. You have those, okay. Which color groups will look best? So I'm not asking that you say, for example, well, I love orange and so I'm just going to do these orange, because I need to know that it will be harmonious and contrast with whatever Ross has done next to me. What if Ross wants to do orange and Rory wants to do orange? Then all we have is orange. So let's decide together. Let's say I would like to do oranges and reds here. What might Ross want to do there? Let's do it. Remember, we're doing cross-hatching, we're doing blending, we're giving it some muscle. Yep.
What a fast family.
What a fast family is right, Millie. Stop for a second. Lift these up and take a long look at this. Ooh. Wow. Now here's a question. Yours we cut out right along this, which I think is what we'll do with this one. So that means we want to leave some of it to be sandy colored, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, do we want to do some outlining of these?
I started some,
Yeah, let's do. Yeah, especially with the white, right? Mm-hmm. Do you want to leave any of these, or do you want to put some color in there? Would everybody be okay if we did another blue thing in the middle?
Yeah.
How about a blue thing here and that little one too, and leave this one
Okay, so these
craft
two?
paper, yeah. And I'm going to give everybody a pair of scissors. Come around behind me. And we're going to cut this out on this line and just toss this in the garbage. And then we're going to glue it down. There, it's working. Perfect. All right. And then screw the lid back on for me, and let's carefully press it. Carefully press it.
Just got glue on my hands.
Okay. So this is an amazing piece. I'm so glad that you're getting to see this. I asked everybody, what is it about this that is just so dramatic? And I think it was Sam, and everybody agreed, said, it's the green. We chose green water, not blue water, and it's just a little bit different, and it's so dramatic. So I wanted to ask everybody, if they want to again, comment on it. Millie, do you have anything that you'd like to share that was wonderful? You want us to...
The green water and the frog that my brother did with the rock.
Show us the frog. Point to the frog. Thanks, Millie. Great job. Sam, what are your impressions?
Well, I think the part I loved the most on this was the gray stones. I think they complemented themselves all the way around the paper, because there's 2 right here and 2 up here.
Show us a little, just point to those gray stones.
One's right here, 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 and here. And those are the ones I liked the most because I think they really brought everything out.
They're very unique, and I noticed your dad made some gray over here to add to it. I hadn't thought of that, and no one has done that in any of our pieces, but I noticed that you had gray, and it just popped out at me. It was really interesting. So that was a wonderful, wonderful contribution. Thanks. Rory, what are your thoughts?
I like these because it was supposed to be a dirt imprint, but the way that it was outlined in color made it look like tinier pebbles kind of on the side of the creek.
Kelly, come on up.
I like just the repetition of everything. The colors, they're kind of spread out. All the circles are very organic, kind of oval and circle shapes. And then same with the water too. How it's just kind of a repetition with all the different patterns and the different colors and the different shapes. I think it makes it very cohesive to look at, but at the same time different.
And I loved the way that everyone cooperated. And nobody argued about what color they needed to make. And what happened was that we got this gorgeous balance so that the oranges run through, and we have these blues, and we have the green, and the purple is everywhere. It's balanced, isn't it, to our eye? Thanks, Kelly. How about you, Ross? You can just take this.
Most is I don't get to do a lot of the art, and I like to learn all the different techniques, the crosshatch and different types of blending, and just the stick and paint. The whole thing was a great project, so I loved it.
Oh, I loved all of you too. Thank you so much. And this is Annie Painter, hoping that you and your family or your class will have as much fun as we did today with your own branch pen artwork.